Hey, Satish, how are you? Good to see you again.
Ed, you look smashing today. Thank you for the
I'm
opportunity.
trying. I'm trying. So today I'm going to ask you a question about what are the three top priorities when selling in the US? Because I think these tech startups, whether it's from Israel or India or Sydney, Australia, they're underestimating things, and that's why they're getting jammed up. Let's talk about these three priorities from your viewpoint.
Yeah, everybody wants to get into the US, right? Everybody looks at it as a huge potential market and a gold mine for whatever line of business. But in my view, I think the most important thing is to really understand the market space, right? Invest time and effort in understanding the market space.
I assume these startups have invested in learning the market, but I don't always find that comfortable because if I had to go sell a Manila, it would be very hard for me to understand dialect and language and mannerisms. So what should they be doing to really understand their market first before they get started?
They should be studying the market. Now, what happens is most of the startup companies, the founders come with very strong technical foundations who kind of invest time and effort into building a great product or service. But what they don't do sometimes is really investing time and effort in actually understanding the dynamics of the market space where they want to get into. It's very simple, right? The industries that will work for them in the US market, right? The geography is, US is a huge geographical market. So you got to understand where the industries are based and how do you address that wide expanse of industries, right?
Isn't that stuff that you would learn because, they sell tech. I got machine learning, AI, cyber. I want to sell to companies in the US. I get onto my accounts, my Zoom info. I do my homework. That's what they do. And it's not good
Well,
enough. And I know you have a
it's
different way of thinking of that.
Yeah, I mean, this is good theoretical knowledge, but when it comes into practice, a lot of companies just look at the US as just as a must-have market, and they rush into the market without really planning for it well, right? So my what I've seen in my experience is the fact that companies have gone too early into the market without the right kind of preparations, and then when they burn their hands in the early stages, they beat a hasty retreat, right? And they think that their market entry was wrong or it was flawed or they failed. So I would strongly advise, before you enter into a massive market like the US market, you got to take 10 steps back and think this through, right? Don't plan big, be very focused on
I
who you
like
want to
that.
sell it
Yeah,
to,
I like that a
right?
lot. Right.
So, for sometimes it may be like competitors, the bigger established competitors could be doing 100, 200, $300 million, but that cannot be your benchmark, right? You got to really, eat away at it bit by bit. Initial focus on getting a group of anchor customers. That's going to be the
Right.
key. And then doing a good job of that before you kind of expand into other customers. It could be other industries, it could be other verticals. But I think having total clarity in the first 30, 60, 90-day plan on who's that you want to go after, who are your high priority targets, and making sure that the messaging and the value proposition is correct for them,
Right.
and then delivering the value that you promise, right? That ultimately
See,
is the
yeah, and the
biggest.
value is ultimately right. It's ultimately what they want.
Yeah.
And what I like about this talk, and for the folks out there that don't know this, for what I do in sales globally, you do in marketing, and this is really coming from your marketing brain, not a sales or an entrepreneur brain. So what I think you're saying, because I get it, the three things they really got to do is deeper research. They got to go slower and do deeper prep and not bite off more than they can chew. And the third thing you're saying is they got to look at the US as not the US. It's 50 states. It's 50 markets actually within a market.
Right.
And then there's by vertical. So it looks like there's a lot of front end work to be done. Or then they go in and then they got to try to adjust it. And that's where it gets difficult and expensive. Right.
Absolutely. Yes, that's right.
So this has been a really interesting talk about getting in the US from a marketing perspective. This is Ed Golod. This is with my pal Satish, and this is Straight Talk. Thanks for joining.